Hello Flosstube and welcome back to my channel. I am Ros Clark. This is Ros Clark Craft here on YouTube. You can also find me as Ros Clark Craft over on Instagram and on Etsy. Thank you so much. Those of you who watched my last video, those of you who left lovely comments. The good news is I am feeling massively better. This week I have felt better than I have done in a very long time. So I don't know whether that's going to last, but I'm enjoying it while it is here. Yeah, I still have some unidentified health issues. Some are long-term, some are short-term, you know, some of which, yeah, anyway, are still being explored, and some of which have been written off as we have no idea what's wrong with you, so you just have to live with it. But I'm not sleeping. I'm sleeping normal amounts, and when I'm awake I feel awake, which that feels new. Really, certainly for the last 6 or 7 months I haven't felt like that, and really I kind of want to say over a year, to be honest. So that feels very good news. I have got to share with you today a finish, some whips. I haven't done any fully finishing this year, so I might do some of that soon, but I haven't got any to show you today. Some whips. I've got a kit. I've got an art well, in fact I've got 2 art projects. Just looking around what else is around the floor. I think that might be it. So we're going to start off with the cross stitch, and then if you don't want to watch the rest of it, you can say goodbye. And if you're interested in all the other stuff, oh, there is some knitting as well. I will need to go and get the knitting, but there is some knitting as well. So let's start with the fully finished, not fully finished, the finished object, Wonder Woman. This was a little mini kit that I bought in Hobbycraft. I think it was £3. It certainly wasn't more than that. The colours are weird to me. These are not Wonder Woman colours, are they? Wonder Woman is like red and blue and gold. So I don't know why this has got so much pink in it. And even the blue is quite turquoisey and the gold is quite orangey. So yeah, a bit weird. A lot of quite annoying backstitch, but I really enjoyed stitching Wonder Woman. And as little kits go, it was good. It is not a beginner stitch, I will say that. There are a lot of partial stitches in this. Half stitches, quarter stitches, 3/4 stitches. And as you can see, quite a lot of fiddly back stitch as well. I would not give this to someone who's never done cross stitch before in their lives. I think it will be very fiddly and frustrating. I found it quite fiddly and frustrating, and you know what I'm doing. But it's only little. I used everything that came in the thing, the crunchy Ada and the off-brand thread. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think I might frame it. Or it might be like a nice little notebook cover, something like that. I don't know. For the moment, it's just going in the little tray of to be finished. It is quite a little tray. I say that, it genuinely is. There's 1, 2... yeah, there's 3 things in there, one of which was finished and then I stole the frame for something else, and one of which is a sort of it's my book. Some of you will have seen before that I finished another page from, but I need to do another page before I can do the other finish. So there's only 2. Oh, actually there are there are 3 things that are finished and could be fully finished now, including Wonder Woman. Anyway, what else have I been working on? Well, the main thing I've been working on, and I'm so pleased, this sort of sat around not being worked on for the best part of a year, and I don't like to have projects like that, but I picked it up at the beginning of this year. This is Dream of a Winter Garden by Modern Folk Embroidery. And Sally from Stitchy Sally and Sarah from Sew Me Sarah started this, I think, on New Year's Day. A sort of New Year, new start, and we're doing a stitch along, and I'm like, right, I'm getting mine out and I'm doing that. So I had done a little tiny bit in the sort of top left hand corner, but almost all of this I've done in the last month, really, and quite a lot of it I've done in the last week, to be honest. I'm stitching mine. This is, I think it is 40 count, but it might be 36 count, and I'm pretty sure it's Zweigart Platinum, but I couldn't swear to it because, you know, the years since I started it. I'm stitching it using a Versoir 103s, and I'm really enjoying that. Do you know, I was thinking about this. The Versoir, they feel really expensive. So where I buy them from in the UK, Jenny Aidan Christie, I'll put a link below if you're looking. She has the whole range, so it's a great place to shop. I think they're £5.40 each, £5 something anyway, each. And you're like, oh, that's quite a lot for a spool, but you get 150 meters on a spool. So the equivalent of 6-stranded thread would be 25 meters. You get 25 lots of 6 strands. 25 meters is a lot. So most over-dyed threads, I think, come in 5 meter put-ups. Roxy Floss, you get 8 meters. Belsoir, you get 12 meters. But effectively for the Versoir, you get 25 meters. So if you think, if you came in a 5 meter put-up, it would be, the equivalent price would be about £1.10. That's very reasonable, I think. Now, they're not over-dyed, but they are silk threads of really fine quality in a wide range of very beautiful colours. I don't think that is a unreasonable amount. You pay more than that for a skein of DMC in a lot of places, frankly. So yeah, so I just throw that out there. It seems expensive, and it is expensive because you have to buy it in quite big chunks, but per meter it's actually a very reasonable price. There are places I think you can get certainly some of Versoir threads in a smaller put up than that, but that's where I've found reliably all the colours. So obviously I've used my own colours for this. I didn't really plan it very well beforehand. I did end up having to order 2 extra colours because I just had a lot fewer colours than there were on the chart. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I can... Anyway, it wasn't as fine as I had thought it would be. I really wanted to do this sort of gradient going down the tree, and I like how that has worked out. Yeah, so I'm glad I did that and ordered the extra colours. The 2 sides obviously are supposed to be identical. They're not identical. Neither of them are identical to each other or the chart. Who cares? I think it's fine. I don't think, looking at it, you immediately go, well, why hasn't she done those 2 the same? I think you're looking at it and go, oh, that's pretty. I have got to go back in on this side. These little berries here, they're both missing the little couple of stitches to join them onto the branch. But otherwise, those top 2 sections are done. Oh, apart from the eyes and the bird. So I had done the first one. I did do a cross stitch and you couldn't really see it. And then I did a French knot and you could see it, but it kept going loose. And then I decided to take it out. And I think what I'm going to do is put some beads in, but I'm not going to decide till the very end. I might put beads in. I might try again with a French knot. But I'm going to leave it for now. So I'm sort of leaving this for now anyway, for reasons which I will come on to in a moment. But I'm really pleased, and I'm hoping by the end of the month that I will have done the bottom section as well and have that finished. It's a really lovely pattern. It's very classic modern folk embroidery. I think everything sort of lines up nicely and sort of, you know, it sort of flows nicely as you stitch it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And I like the sort of brighter colours that I've used for it. The original colours I think are darker, so you can have a look on Instagram at Sally's or Sarah's pictures. I think they're both using the called for. I could be wrong, but they're sort of much more red and darker greens than my sort of pink and brighter greens and the aqua. So yeah, I guess more wintry, but I kind of feel like particularly the aqua feels quite wintry. I've used it for the little snowflakey bits. Anyway, I like mine and I'm glad that that's what I've chosen. The other thing which I have been stitching on, and I'm excited about this one because again, slightly sitting in my stash. I did do some bits of work on it during the year, but not loads. I'm not massively a seasonal stitcher, but this one did feel like I needed to be in spring. So I have finished, I had just about started a very little bit of this S here. So I've done all of the spring and the welcome. So now I need to get back to stitching the wreath. This is Spring Wreath from Tiny Modernist. My colour conversion, I think these are pretty much all classic Colourworks. I've no idea what the fabric is. I think it's a 32 count, pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know, it was left over from something. And the reason I really want to get on with this, well, two reasons. Obviously, it's spring and it would be nice to have it on display in spring. But also I've got a finishing idea that I'm really excited about. So I do want to get on with that and finish that. Again, I'd love to have that finished. I'd love to have both of those finished by the end of March, which I think is very doable, but it won't be in the next week because I am doing first week full coverage. I don't think anyone else is doing first week full coverage, but that's what I'm doing because, as you know, I've been working on this Gecko Rouge for not quite 2 years, and the original goal was to have it finished in 2 years. Yeah, that would be in about 6 weeks time. It's not going to be finished in 6 weeks time. This is the sum total. Look, I mean, I'm holding it up and you can't even see it. The sum total of what I've done is that little bottom corner, and it is going to take up most of this fabric. There is a margin, but it is not a huge margin. You can see. So yeah, so I think I'm at nearly 9% done. So I'm not going to do 91% of this in 6 weeks. That is never going to happen. But I am making progress. And I've decided, because I do really enjoy it when I get it out, but it's not the kind of thing I can just get out and do an hour or two here and there. I find I need to sort of get into the rhythm of it, and then I can really start enjoying it. So the plan is this year to spend the first week of every month working on this. So I didn't do it in January, but in February I did, and I put in all of this little bit here and going across the house there and finishing some bits in the house there. I think I did maybe 700 or 800 stitches. It doesn't look like anything like that much, but I think it was about that, and it got me over that 9% mark. So the total stitch count is about 75,000, I think. So I definitely like to do at least 1% a month, maybe 12%. So, you know, maybe 20% by the end of the year. It might end up being more than that, and that would be really nice. If it's 1,000 stitches a month, I feel like that would be a really good place to have got to. If I do it for a week and I do a couple of hundred stitches a day, maybe we might get up to 1,400, 1,500, but it does depend what section I'm on. So like when I've been doing the cottage, that goes quicker because obviously you've got quite a lot of block stitching. It's not entirely block stitching. I don't know if you can see, like there are little gaps here waiting to be filled in with a different colour, but it's a lot of it block stitching, and so obviously that's quicker. When you're doing the backgroundy bit, I mean, this has got some reasonable chunks of colour, but a lot of it is very confetti, and it does just take longer. You take longer because you've got to change the colour, the thread. I can't be doing with parking, so I just have to stitch and then change. It takes longer because you've got to identify which colour you're using, which symbols you're working on. You've got to do counting in between. You know, it's just not as quick as filling in big chunks of one colour. So anyway, this coming week, I will certainly be aiming to finish the door and this window. And maybe this whole section of cottage. Sorry, you can't see, I'm looking. Finish the door and this window and maybe this whole section of cottage, but it would be good to also do some work coming up the side as well. The side is very satisfying because there is a whole page that is, I can't remember, 9 stitches wide, I think, something like that. It's also very satisfying doing the bottom row because there is a whole page that is just 1 row deep. So you feel like you're crossing off pages when really you're not doing huge amounts. So that's what we're doing. We're not aiming for a page finish, but we are aiming, I'd like to say 1,000 stitches. I think 1% is the minimum that I want to get done. 1,000 stitches would be good. 1,400 stitches would be really, really great. I'd be really thrilled with that. So we'll see. I'm feeling better. Like I say, I've got more energy. I'm spending more time stitching in the evenings. This is Saturday when I'm filming. I haven't got anything really on for the rest of the day. A little bit of housework still to do, but I've done most of it. I need to take the dog out. But, you know, I can do a lot of stitching today. Tomorrow's Sunday and I should be able to get quite a lot done tomorrow. Yeah, and I've got stuff on 1 or 2 evenings next week, but I've got free time and I've got energy to use. So I'd like to think that I can really make some good progress on that. So that is all the cross stitching. So, you know, if you're off, that's fine. Goodbye. If you've enjoyed seeing my stitching and you aren't subscribed, then do subscribe, hit the like button, tell people about it. Oh, do you know what I am going to do? If you're interested in cross stitching, don't disappear just yet, because I did want to mention 2 other floss tubers, one of whom does cross stitching pretty exclusively and one of whom is a bit more multi-crafter. The one who's really a cross stitcher is Stitching and Tea with Bee. I'm sure you know Stitching and Tea with Bee. She's called Barbara. She's been around for about 6 months or so. She is the most calming, soothing person to listen to. I love her little chats about what tea she's drinking. And not her most recent video, but the one before that, she was drinking Alice in Wonderland topsy-turvy tea from Disney, that someone had brought her from Disney. And she was like, it's an Earl Grey, but it's a really rich Earl Grey. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I love Earl Grey, but normally Earl Grey is very light and fresh, and you know, that yeah, really was intriguing. So anyway, I asked around to see if any of my friends were going to be at Disney anytime soon, and one of them amazingly was at Disneyland in Florida at the point when I was asking. She's like, what do you want? And I'm like, well, if you see this tea, I would love some. And so she's like, okay, well, we'll go and have a look. I mean, she, you know, she and I've been going around with a little tiny newborn baby. I mean, not newborn baby, I don't know, it's maybe a year old, less than a year old, something. Anyway, they've got a baby and they're going around and they're doing this and that. I'm like, but really don't put yourself to any trouble. Anyway, and she came back and she WhatsApped me a photo and she's like, is it this one? And I'm like, yes, it's that one. And she's like, okay. So she got it and she sent it to me very kindly as a gift, which was really kind of her, because I was more than happy to pay for the tea and for the time and effort they'd gone to. But it arrived, and the very next day, Stitching and Tea with Bee, the next video came up. So I made my first cup of the Alice in Wonderland tea, topsy-turvy tea, while I watched Bee talking about her stitching and her tea. And that was lovely. It just felt, you know, sometimes there's, you know, you feel like you're watching people and you kind of feel like you know them, but you don't really know them. They don't know you're watching. It, you know, it's a sort of consumer thing, and then sometimes you feel like, oh, there's a real point of connection there. And I left a comment on a video saying, I'm watching this as I'm drinking my first cup of tea recommended by you in the last video, and you know, she left a lovely comment, and it just felt like, oh, there's a real moment of connection there. She is somebody I'd love to meet. I mean, I don't know that I ever will, but you know, she just seems like somebody who'd be lovely to sit down with and have a cup of tea with and do your stitching with. So if you don't watch Stitching with Tea and Bee, go and watch her. I take no responsibility for if you also get enabled in your tea buying. And then the other person that I was going to mention, first Flosstube came out, I think this week. It's classic first Flosstube in that it's filmed portrait rather than landscape. And there's something else about it that made me smile that was very classic first Flosstube. Oh, now I can't remember. Anyway, it is Penelope's Pocket. Many of you will know Penelope's Pocket if you've bought her project bags on Instagram. She is a cross stitcher, but also a knitter and a sewer. And I really enjoyed her first video. She starts off with a what I'm wearing little section. So she's talking about the jumper that she's wearing that's hand knitted. She goes through her stitching, some previous projects, some current projects. It's sort of what's in her bag, her work bag, I think. So it includes everything. And she talks about, yeah, it's really interesting in the way she talks about things. And I think she's somebody I certainly am going to enjoy watching quite a lot. So do go and follow her and encourage her to keep going. Right, I think that really is all the cross stitch related content that I have for you. So I'm just going to pause because I'm going to go and get my knitting, and then we'll talk about the other craft. Good, I went to get my knitting, but I also picked up the tea. So this is it, Alice in Wonderland tea, topsy-turvy blend, and it says Earl Grey black tea, strong flavour strength, luxury black tea with deep notes in bergamot and light citrus, bits of orange and colourful petals. And in the ingredients list, black tea, orange, sunflower and calendula and safflower petals, bergamot and other natural flavours. And I think that's right. It is, you can definitely tell it's in the Earl Grey family. It's got the bergamot, it's got the citrus, but it is a strong tea. So for me, I have this when I might normally have like an English breakfast or a, you know, stronger tea, which in my house, the only real option is English breakfast, rather than when I would normally have an Earl Grey or a Lady Grey or something like that. But I really like it. There are also instructions on how to make hot tea. Use 1 tea bag per 8 ounces of freshly boiled water. My recollection from when I lived in America, I think I worked this out. American fluid ounces are a different amount to UK fluid ounces, I think. American pints are certainly a different amount to UK pints, and American gallons are a different amount to UK gallons. I think the same is true with fluid ounces. So I don't really know when it says 8 ounces of freshly boiled water. They don't mean by weight, they do mean by volume, but I don't know how much it is. Anyway, I just use a cup for a tea bag for 1 mug, and that seems to work perfectly fine. Right, since I've got it here, I'm going to start with this. So this is my knitting. It's very exciting. I've not done loads. One of the reasons I wanted to start it was because I really find it soothes me and calms me in a way that no other craft does. And it's also very portable and easy to do at the back of a meeting. I don't even really have to look, and this project I certainly don't really have to look, because you can see it's all in garter stitch. I'll tell you what it is in a moment, but I had hoped I was going to make quite a lot more progress than this. Some of you might know from previous videos, I think I've mentioned this, I'm on General Synod, which is like the Parliament for the Church of England, and we had a week's worth of meetings a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was brilliant. I'd be able to take my knitting with me. I lost my knitting on the first night, and it was returned to me on the final lunchtime. So I'm very glad it was returned, but that may explain why I didn't really get any progress. Anyway, this is the Goff mystery shawl from Kate Davies Designs, and I'm going to put a picture up here because you cannot tell from what I've started what this is going to be like. It's going to be a project that takes forever, and that is fine. I don't need more hand knitted shawls in my life, especially. I don't not need them, but I you know, it's not like filling an urgent wardrobe gap for me. This project is about knitting again. It's still uncomfortable when I knit. I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. People have said really kind things, but the issue is not to do with my joints. It's not to do with my muscles or my bones or my ligaments or my tendons. The issue is to do with my peripheral neuropathy. It's not technically peripheral neuropathy, but the symptom is like that. I have essentially pins and needles at the end of my fingers, and touching something or rubbing against something makes them worse. And so it just becomes very uncomfortable. But it's not something that the more I do it, the worse it makes it. It hurts when I do it. It doesn't hurt when I don't do it. So I do it for as long as I can bear, and then I stop. That's really how it is. And so doing that, I've got this far. So I've got almost all the colours in that I'm going to. There's one more colour, let me show you. That's going to go, and I've got plenty of this. This is all from stash. I had a lovely time a few weeks ago getting out my yarn stash, which I have not done for a while. It's nearly 3 years since this all started, and I haven't knit since. And so this is the sort of I'm just starting again anyway experiment. So it's going to have this lovely yellow in it as well. This is a very dark navy. It's slightly coming across as black, but it is definitely navy. And this is going to go in. And so those are my 5 colours: the blue, the green, the pink, the navy, and the gold, that are going to make the whole shawl. And yeah, so I'm enjoying it when I am doing it. I'm not doing loads, and it will just take as long as it takes. But it feels good to have something on the needles again. So that is the Goff Mystery Shawl. Okay, 2 things that I've made recently. Last week, we didn't have art class because it's half term, but I arranged to spend a day with a friend doing some jelly printing and collage, and this is what I did. I think I like it. It's not the best thing I've ever made. I think it's one of the things that will go up in my I made this gallery for a bit, and then it can go. It doesn't need to stay forever, but it's quite fun. Yeah, I tried some different jelly printing techniques. So the Posca, so the sort of tulip sections, I drew on the jelly plate with the Posca pen and then painted in them and then pulled it. And yeah, some bits didn't pull properly, but I quite like the effect that I got. Some of it is just drawn on here. You can see I've added, you know, some little fine detail marks. Yeah. And then I sort of, what I've been doing today, I got out my fluorescent inks and have been doing some yellow and green splotches to kind of brighten it and bring it all together. So, you know, this is not heirloom art. It is art that was very fun to do. It was really lovely to spend the day with my friend. I didn't want to come home with a project that needed a lot of finishing, and I didn't. But it feels very fresh and springy, and yeah, there we go. Not all art has to be the best art you've ever seen. Now, this is a project that we started in my art class, and it's sort of morphed along the way. Let me hold it back here and you can get a sense of the full glory of this bonkers thing. I think it's bonkers but brilliant. You might just think it's bonkers, and that is okay. So what it became is a holder for my necklaces. So at the top, it's got various buttons and beads, and one of them just come off, but they do hang perfectly well over those. So that's where my necklaces sit. And then sort of further down, and as part of the background, I've got all of these other dangly bits. So this includes, this is a lovely thing, which you're not going to be able to see. You can just about see that. It's resin art made by my sister-in-law. She gave us all one at Christmas, and mine is sort of Northern Lights inspired, which I really like. We watched the Northern Lights together earlier in the year. This is a Christmas tree sort of decoration that I just love. These are little mini spools that I just put some sparkly thread around. A lot of these are sort of beads and buttons recovered from broken jewellery, old garments, that kind of thing, sort of strung together just to kind of make it look fun and pretty. And then the back is silk sari ribbon, and I've just tacked it together very lightly with running stitch just to give it a background. It goes in my bedroom, which has this bonkers sort of feel to it anyway, in all of those colours. And this is a little mini quilt hanger that I bought from Amazon. This is some bonkers ribbon that I think I bought in Birmingham Rag Market about 20 years ago, and I just had some bits left that I thought could go in here. So it's just quite fun, sort of collecting things like a magpie from round my house and round my craft room, and then putting them together. You can see my necklaces are all quite bonkers as well. There's this one here, this pink one. That's very pretty. And then there's another rainbow one. This is the one that fell off. Let's just pop that back on so you can see. I don't wear this one often because it's actually quite heavy, but it is beautiful. These sort of ceramic rainbow hoops. I might deconstruct it actually and do something slightly different with those hoops, because like I say, it is quite heavy, and it's a shame that I therefore don't wear it a lot because they are beautiful. So that sort of sits on the back of my bedroom door now, and I mean, it was, yeah, it's the sort of project that you sort of can't do wrong. If you don't like it, you just add more. Just keep adding more. And I might still add more, you know, at different points. I could easily, you know, make another strand. So all of the things that are not the necklaces are done in sort of separate hanging things. So, you know, you could easily just, you know, collect a whole load of stuff, have another bracelet break or something, and think, oh, well, I know, I'll add a thing to my thing. Yeah, and just hang it all up. And it's good because I don't wear a lot of jewellery. I do like wearing the necklaces, but I often don't remember because they're not visible. So they are now just there on display at the back of the bedroom door, and you know, that's a good thing. It's easy then just to grab one and pop it on. Right, one last thing. Gosh, this is going to be quick, which is a good thing because the last Flosstube I did, I think it took me 2 weeks to upload it because I genuinely just could not upload it at home. My internet was not good enough. So I'm hoping shorter video, quicker to upload, more likely to happen. So this is a kit. I've not yet started it, but I'm quite excited about this one. This is a kit from wildfloss.co.uk, and guess which one I bought? Guess which one? Yeah, no, not the grey one. Funny that. It did come in a box, but I have actually put the box in the recycling already. It also comes in this nice little bag, and you get a hoop, you get the background fabric, which is this. Mine is the dark one, and then you get this amazing skein of all the different fibre, thread thing, whatever we're going to call those, that you use. So as you can see, it's not a detailed sort of classic embroidery. Let me show you the picture again. I might see if I can get one and digital image, because I think that is not the best photo. I think there was a better photo on the website. Oh, here it is. Slightly better photo at the back of the book. So you can see it's not sort of classic detail thing. There's, you know, these big things are just done in single stitches. There's a fair amount of little French knots, which I don't mind at all, and other bits and pieces. Yeah, but just look at this sort of bundle of loveliness here. So there's this big chunky, this is an unspun fleece, and the mustard is the same, I think. And actually I think these are as well. I think these are little lightly spun singles. What else have we got? We've got the bright pink and an aqua one. Sorry, I can't really see. Then we've got just some ordinary yarn, but quite chunky in these different colours. This, which is a sort of chenille yarn, these two. Yeah, and then some finer, like pearl cotton maybe here. So I just really thought that was a fun way of doing an interesting, different sort of take on embroidery. Yeah, it includes French knots, seed stitch, running stitch and straight stitch. It's not going to be complicated, and quite a lot of it, because you're doing it with those very thick threads, is going to be very quick. But I love that you're using even those very thick threads. You know, there are some French knots made out of this, for example. They're going to look really different from ordinary French knots. And it does come with a needle and threader. I'm interested to see what sort of needle it is that is going to cover all of those different fibres. Might need supplementing, but you know, I have a good range of needles around, it's fine. There's the needle threader. Okay, yeah, so we've got big chunky needle, which will do the big chunky things, and I think probably we have to supply our own ordinary size needle. Let's have a look. Yes. It suggests that you can do it all with that same needle. I don't think I will do it all with the same needle. Shows you how to thread the needle. Very helpful. You know, if you're trying to thread something like that fleecy unspun fibre, it's quite helpful to have someone give you an idea of how to thread it. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't think it's going to take very long. Yeah. So I think my March projects carry on the Gecko Rouge for the first week or so. I want to finish Dream of a Winter Garden, Welcome Spring. I might well have a go at this because it feels, you know, sort of springy, whatever. Thing I would really love to do, and I don't know if I quite have the energy back yet or not, I might. I'd really love to do some dressmaking. I feel like I've been saying that for, well, I have been saying that for a year. I have a lot of lovely things. My sewing hut does need some tidying, but I don't think it's a huge job. I tidied out, I sorted out and reorganised all my fabric last summer. I have bought some fabric since then, but in general, that is basically sorted out. There's a sort of general layer of mess, which is things I have used but not put away in the last 6 months. And there's a little amount of stuff here in the house that needs taking over as well, but not loads, not loads. So I think that probably needs a good afternoon sort out, and then I might be able to make something, sew something. So we'll see. Next time I see you, maybe I will have a garment to show you as well. We'll see. Good, I mean, that's really quick. I don't think I've ever done a Flosstube this quickly. I don't know how that's happened. Have I just stopped talking? Is that what's happened? Oh no, I know. Gosh, my memory is still really bad. I paused it in the middle, didn't I? So actually it's not 15 minutes long. There is another section before this as well. Even so, hopefully it will be uploadable and hopefully you'll be seeing it before too long. Do check out the next video I've already filmed. Is going to come out in a week or so. Do check it out because I'm just doing a little wander through my paper pattern stash, and there is a little de-stash at the end, giveaway, freebie, whatever. So you might want to check that out and see if there's anything you are interested in. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for not giving up on me. I'm hoping that these are going to become a little bit more of a regular thing. Who knows? And don't forget to go and check out Stitching and Tea with Bee and Penelope's Pocket. See you next time.